At the beginning of the story, Alicia is playing outside alone, while her father is working in the nearby fields. After finishing his work, her father calls her to head back home, and Alicia walks over to him. Then, the two of them start walking toward their house. After reaching home, her father starts carving something out of wood, while Alicia stands nearby, looking at the map of Edthea hanging on the wall. A question arises in her mind: why is the entire area around Edthea marked in black? She asks her father about it. Her father is surprised that Alicia is now old enough to ask such a question. Then he explains that those dark areas are home to dangerous dark beasts. And every attempt to explore those areas has been thwarted by the 4 dark beast lords. Because of those 4 dark beast lords, they haven't seen the world beyond the Edthea continent for many years. Then he tells her about an ancient Edthean legend, which says that a hero will defeat the 4 dark beast lords using a weapon given by the king of Haydn. Alicia curiously asks if the dark beasts are powerful. Her father explains that it's believed they're so powerful they could tear the earth apart from the sky. That's why, to defeat them, the hero must obtain a special weapon from the king of Haydn, one that multiplies the wielder's strength many times over. Hearing this, Alicia gets excited and says that one day she'll become a hero and free the world from the dark beasts. Just then, the wheel of Alicia's carriage hits a rock, and she wakes up from her dream. Alicia is now a hero, and along with 12 other heroes, she is heading into the Dark Lands to defeat the Dark Beast Lords. Each of them carries a special red weapon given by the King of Haydn, known as a regalia. All the heroes are chatting with each other. One of them notices that among all the male heroes, Alicia is the only female. He tries to start a conversation with her, but just then, another hero warns everyone to stay alert. They've now entered the territory of the Dark Beasts. One of the heroes doesn't like how he's acting like their leader. Another hero explains that he's the strongest among them, that's why he's taking charge. Suddenly, their carriage comes to a halt, and the rider informs the heroes that it can't go any farther. Just then, a dark beast suddenly grabs the rider and takes him away, and the group is ambushed by dark beasts. All the heroes quickly jump out of the carriage and realize they're surrounded by dark beasts from all sides. Their leader orders the archers and spearmen to clear a path and tells Alicia to handle the remaining dark beasts with him. The archers and spearmen then launch a coordinated attack on the dark beasts, and soon the path is cleared. They enter a dark cave, which leads to the home of the Dark Beast Lord. But they're unaware that the Beast Lord is watching them from a distant cliff. Inside the cave, they're attacked by numerous dark beasts, but the heroes, using their powerful regalia, take them down one by one with ease. They face no real trouble defeating the creatures and soon reach the other end of the cave, where they encounter a 4-headed hydra. However, their leader slices off all 4 of its heads in a single strike with his regalia. After that, they all make their way out of the cave. A little further ahead from the cave, they spot a mountain. On its peak stands the Dark Beast Lord, watching them. The Beast Lord welcomes them with a powerful lightning strike. His body begins to glow with light, and several dark, shadowy tails emerge behind him. Seeing this, the heroes immediately realize that this is the Dark Beast Lord, Clavitus. Seeing Clavitus in front of them, the heroes instantly realize how powerful he truly is, and fear begins to creep into their hearts. To break that fear, their leader gives an inspiring speech and urges everyone to attack Clavitus together. All the heroes charge toward Clavitus at once, but suddenly, Clavitus strikes with his sharp tail. The leader is sent crashing into a rock and is left barely conscious. Clavitus then begins to take them down one by one. His tail emerges from the heroes' own shadows and strikes them fatally. Alicia notices the tail coming out of the shadows, and quickly warns the others to jump into the air and stay away from their own shadows. But before the other heroes can fully grasp what she means, it's already too late. Clavitus has struck them with his tail. Alicia sees the tail coming toward her and swiftly spins in the air, narrowly dodging the attack. Clavitus takes pleasure in fighting these heroes. It's been thousands of years since he last battled like this. He begins to wonder how these weak, insect-like beings have suddenly become so powerful that they made it this far. What has changed in these past 1,000 years? And why are they coming here now? Lost in these thoughts, Clavitus lets his guard down, giving Alicia the perfect opening. She charges in and strikes him, leaving a scratch on his horn. Enraged by the attack, Clavitus lashes out and sends her flying with a powerful blow, killing Alicia in an instant. After wiping out all the heroes, Clavitus decides to launch an attack on Haydn's capital. That night, a calm silence rests over Hydrate, the capital of Haydn. Suddenly, a man notices a strange smoke rising from a nearby tower. As he looks up at the sky, Clavitus suddenly descends from above, landing atop the tower. The moment people see Clavitus, panic breaks out. Everyone starts running in fear. Standing above, Clavitus watches the chaos unfold. He remembers that those heroes were sent into his territory by the king of Haydn. And so, he blames the king for everything. Clavitus decides to kill the king. Just then, the royal army arrives and begins firing arrows at him, but Clavitus easily deflects them. With his eyes set on the king, he charges toward the palace at full speed. Any soldier who tries to stop him is instantly taken down. Within moments, Clavitus reaches near the palace. Seeing him approach, the guards try to stop him by launching massive stones, but Clavitus shatters them effortlessly with his sharp tail. Then, with a powerful leap, Clavitus lands right in front of the palace gates. After once again deflecting the guards' attacks, he wipes out the remaining soldiers. By now, news of Clavitus's assault reaches the king inside the palace. Realizing what's happening, the king understands that the heroes he had sent have all been killed. The king rises and begins walking toward the forge. His general pleads with him to flee the palace, but the king refuses. He's determined to secure the forge as quickly as possible. Outside the palace, the remaining soldiers prepare for a final assault on Clavitus. They roll out several ballistae and take aim at him. One soldier warns that their shots might hit the palace as well, but despite the risk, their commander gives the order to fire. Meanwhile, Clavitus stands near the palace, lost in thought, wondering what had made those heroes so powerful. Just then, the soldiers launch their attack, but he catches all the bolts midair with his tail. That's when it hits him. It's the humans' weapons that give them their strength. And so, he decides to destroy not just the humans, but also every weapon they possess. Meanwhile, the king places his hand on the special forge's door, unlocking it. But just as he's about to step inside, he hears the sound of the roof beginning to crack. Quickly, he shuts the door and looks up. Suddenly, Clavitus tears off the palace roof with his tails. As the roof is ripped away, Clavitus spots the king, and immediately recognizes him by his royal attire. Clavitus moves toward the king, but instead of showing fear, the king speaks to him with pride and defiance. This angers Clavitus, who warns him that if he doesn't like his answer, he will wipe out all of humanity. Clavitus then asks the king why he seeks his death. When the king refuses to answer, Clavitus kills him on the spot. Clavitus then completely destroys the palace and begins to walk away, thinking about raising an army to wipe out humanity for good. But just then, he hears the sound of a child crying from within the rubble. He turns to find a baby crying amid the debris, with his mother lying nearby in a barely conscious state. The moment she sees Clavitus, she pleads with him to save her child. Clavitus is taken aback by this and introduces himself, telling her that he has decided to erase humanity from the world. He coldly adds that the child, simply by being born human, is responsible for his own fate. The woman pleads, saying the child is innocent and had no part in what the adults have done. In response, Clavitus says that one day this child will also grow up, take up a sword, and attack the lands of the dark beasts, just like the others. Saying this, he decides to kill the child and tells the woman that if the child is truly worthy of life, then he must prove his worth. With her last breath, the mother replies, "He will prove his worth when he grows up." And with those final words, she dies. After the woman dies, the child begins to cry once again. Clavitus lifts the baby with his tail and silently walks away, taking the child with him. There are 5 distinct human races that inhabit the continent of Edthea. Duns, the most numerous among all, they are skilled in architecture and strategic planning. Orgites, forest dwellers, known for their expertise in hunting and crafting herbal medicines. Slatans, they live near water bodies and are highly adept swimmers. Benti, residents of the wastelands, often seen as barbarians due to their rough and rugged lifestyle. Haydnians, masters of forging and refining, they are the only race whose royal family has the ability to forge weapons from arcanesite, a rare and powerful material. Clavitus returns to Luna Mountain with the baby and leaves him inside a cave. As the child lies there alone, a few dark beasts approach out of curiosity, but Clavitus quickly reappears, and the beasts flee in fear. The baby starts crying again, this time out of hunger. Clavitus restores the child's strength using his power, but he grows concerned. If the child's hunger isn't satisfied soon, he won't survive. He also begins to worry about the child's hygiene. Just then, the baby defecates. In response, Clavitus tosses him into a pit filled with insects. The bugs crawl all over the baby, consuming the filth and cleaning him completely. Clavitus then gently picks up the baby with his mouth and carries him to the place where the bodies of the fallen heroes still lie. Upon arriving, he walks toward Alicia's lifeless body and brings her back to life. Alicia slowly opens her eyes, confused and disoriented, unable to understand how she's alive again. Just then, Clavitus appears before her and tells her that he has revived her using a substance known as dark ichor, which now flows through her, giving her life once more. Alicia doesn't fully understand what Clavitus is saying, but she notices that her severed leg has somehow been restored. Then, using his power, Clavitus commands her to feed the baby. Under the influence of his power, Alicia loses control over her body and reluctantly uncovers her chest. However, no milk comes out. She then turns to Clavitus and explains that only a mother's body can produce milk. Alicia feels deeply ashamed of her situation and pleads with Clavitus to kill her again. But he refuses. Just then, the baby begins to cry once more. Clavitus orders Alicia to do something to calm him down and asks her how to feed the child. Alicia tells him he'll need to hire a wet nurse, a woman who breastfeeds babies in exchange for payment. Clavitus then asks where he can get money for that. Alicia suggests selling the arcanosite found in the mountains. As Clavitus prepares to head into the city to find a wet nurse, Alicia stops him and warns that if he enters the city in his current monstrous form, it'll cause mass panic, and he'll never find what he's looking for. Realizing she's right, Clavitus uses his power to transform into a human form. Alicia is stunned to see the change, but quickly points out that his tails are still visible. Clavitus then conceals them within his shadow. To blend in among humans, Clavitus adopts the name Clen, and names the baby Luna. Then, with Alicia and the baby, he begins the journey toward the city. Along the way, Alicia stops by a riverbank to clean up Luna. Clen stands nearby, watching closely to make sure she's doing it properly. At the slightest sign of carelessness, he scolds her sharply, like a strict father or master. After the cleaning, Clen inspects Luna himself. Once satisfied, he orders Alicia to wash herself as well and tells her to clean Luna's clothes too. Alicia takes the clothes and steps into the river to bathe. As she begins scrubbing the fabric, her eyes catch a symbol, the royal crest of Haydn, stitched into the cloth. Realizing this, she instantly understands. Luna is from the royal family. Meanwhile, a soldier from Haydn is searching through the ruins of the destroyed palace, calling out loudly in hopes of finding any survivors. But no voice answer. Looking around at the devastation, he can't believe that just one beast lord was responsible for such destruction. Anger rises in him toward the king, for it was the king who had decided to confront the beast lord. Frustrated and disheartened, the soldier turns and walks away. From a distance, soldiers from a neighboring nation observe the ruined city. Seeing the devastation, General Drell concludes that the legendary tales of Haydn's powerful weapons must have been false. He then orders his men to send word to their king, informing him that the story of Haydn's weaponry was likely a lie. With the intention of uncovering the secrets of arcanosite smithing, Drell commands his soldier, Maynard, to search for any surviving members of the royal family. Alicia shows Clen the royal cloth and accuses him of kidnapping a royal child. But Clen calmly replies that he had no idea the baby belonged to the royal family, that the child was simply given to him by a woman who looked just like her. When Alicia refuses to believe him, Clen reveals that he's the one who killed the king of Haydn. This revelation shocks Alicia. She realizes that people must be desperately searching for Luna, because only members of the royal family have the ability to forge those legendary weapons. Hearing this, Clen begins to see it all as fate, that it must be destiny he ended up saving this child. He decides to raise Luna as the next king, guiding him from the shadows, so he can keep a close eye on humanity. And if he ever chooses to, he can bring about their destruction whenever he wishes. Listening to Clen's twisted plan, Alicia realizes she's made a huge mistake by revealing Luna's royal identity. But now, she has no choice but to follow his commands. Clen sets off on his journey to find a wet nurse, with Alicia following close behind, carrying the pouch of arcanicite. Just then, a group of bandits suddenly surrounds them. One of them sneaks up from behind and strikes Clen on the head. He falls to the ground, blood spilling from his skull. At that moment, Alicia is struck on the head as well, and she collapses, falling unconscious beside Clen.